human.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen closely. Ladies and gentlemen, Buffalo Wild Wings Savage, listen closely. Let's see what the inebriation level is right now. This is the Friday football. Everybody all fired up. 4A Radio continues. This part of the equation is called ADHD. Alec defends his data. Alec defends his data. And the data can be found via the Alec Lewis Show podcast.
A lot of places.
Stories at The Athletic or theathletic.com, or tweets at Alec_Lewis. Yeah. That's where you find him via X. So, all rise, but not really. The Covenant Court of Savage is trying cases involving Alec Lewis of Anniston, Alabama, on charges of bloviating and or sharing overly emotional bad takes.
I would never.
Alec, do you swear that the evidence you shall provide to the Covenant Court regarding these matters shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
What do I say? I do?
Yeah, I do. It's fine.
The prosecuting attorney... The prosecuting attorney here in Covenant Court is Eric Nordquist. What is the first case charged against Alec Bocephus Lewis? Alec Bocephus Lewis from Anniston, Alabama. And at the end, we hope to get to either guilty, not guilty, or a hung jury, which means we got no idea.
So I should have brought my dad as my attorney?
It's not your turn to talk.
Sorry.
Mr. Prosecutor?
Did you bring a gavel?
Take over.
On behalf of the people, if I may approach the bench, Your Honor, with Exhibit A of this particular case. Alec Lewis, you wrote a piece on the run game impotence of the Vikings, noting how detrimental it has been to the overall success of the offense, the potential negative effects it can have on the development of QB. And towards the end of your piece via The Athletic, you even implied, you implied a couple of things. That the O-line issues weren't necessarily a clear-all excuse for it, and that the coaches involved in it need to own some of this, and that it has to be better.
Ooh.
Defend yourself.
By the way, you're the judge, so we're going to look for rounds of applause on guilty, not guilty, or hung jury. But stand by. The defendant has the right to provide evidence and defend himself.
I mean, here's the deal. We have talked about the run game needing to be better for 4 years. Like, I can remember after Kevin O'Connell's first season in 2022, being at the Indianapolis Scouting Combine, and Kevin saying, we need to run the football better. And there have been a lot of changes. Running backs, tight end who blocks, offensive line.
Objection, Your Honor, on relevance?
Objection sustained.
No, continue, sorry.
No, and the facts of it are that even with the O-line injuries, this run game is a middling phase of the team. It just is. They have used motion in the run game at the lowest clip of any team in the NFL. There have been turnovers in the run game. They've lost at the point of attack in the run game. In short yardage, they still don't feel like they have belief in the run game. In the story I did say, the run game coordinator, Curtis Modkins, has had his job for 4 years. The offensive line coach, Chris Cooper, has been in the same job for 4 years. And the results are the results. And when you're developing a young quarterback, specifically one who hasn't had a ton of reps, you need the run game to be a focal point of the team. If you need an example, go look at what Chicago is doing right now. It hasn't been that, and I think it's definitely a factor in why this season is where it is.
Does the prosecutor have any other evidence to provide?
Yes, I may. If I may again approach the bench with Exhibit B.
Approach.
On Sunday at 3:25 p.m., you posted, Jordan Addison has to catch them.
Oh, wait, we didn't come to a... so you're done with the running game piece?
Yes, the prosecution rests.
Prosecution rests?
Run game.
When it comes to bloviating or being overly emotional with bad takes on what you just heard from the defendant, defending himself where names were mentioned, run game coordinator and offensive line coach, which means it potentially has become personal. The prosecution has rested.
It's not personal.
Do you believe Alec Bocephus Lewis of Anniston, Alabama,
get booed.
is guilty of all charges? Do you believe Alec Bocephus Lewis of Anniston, Alabama, is not guilty of all charges? Do you believe you are a jury that is hung? Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Do you believe the jury is hung and that there should neither be a conviction or an exoneration? Alec Bocephus Lewis on the running game piece has been deemed not guilty of all charges lobbied against him.
Thank you.
We have another case. Prosecution, please approach the stand.
All right, Exhibit B. You posted on X Sunday at 3:25.
This could be anything.
Jordan Addison has to catch that.
Sir, if you continue to talk while the prosecution is talking, you are going to be in contempt of court. So just stop it. Continue, prosecutor.
That's it. Defend yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Jordan Addison has had, I believe, 6 or 7 drops this season. Some of them are obviously a byproduct of the inconsistent timing, rhythm of the passing game. But when you're Jordan Addison and you're a first-round pick and you've had a lot of, I'd say, lack of reliability off the field throughout his first few years in the NFL, and you are in position to catch passes for a young quarterback who needs all the help he can get.
Objection.
He has to.
Objection sustained.
Hostile witness.
He has to catch those passes.
Objection denied. Excuse me, defendant. The judge would like to roll in here to amplify what the prosecution is adding.
I hope that's not how the justice system works.
What makes you qualified to say whether a pass should be caught or not? Please give us your evidence with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I mean, look, have I played receiver in the NFL? No. Do I know what it's like? No. But Judge, I've watched a lot of football games, and when the ball hits your hands, you got to catch it, Judge.
That's very, very fair. Laid out beautifully. Does the prosecution rest on this individual case?
Prosecution rests.
Prosecution has rested. Okay. On the case, facing Alec Bocephus Lewis of Anniston, Alabama, for savaging and with a side dish of character assassination, maybe because he's been turned down for interviews by number 3, Jordan Addison of the Minnesota Vikings. The judge asked the jury, do you find him guilty of all charges? Do you find him not guilty of all charges?
That's pretty even.
Do you have no idea which way to go, thus hung jury? The jury is hung. There will be no decision rendered here at the Covenant Court. Alec Bocephus Lewis on charge number 2. You are safe to leave.
This man down here yelled, "Free Bocephus."
Bocephus has been freed so far on both charges.
Although everybody stop, the prosecution would like to produce new charges of the same variety with a small alteration so that we can retry this.
Attention jury. Per the Covenant Court, we have information that has just arrived via carrier pigeon. And we have added evidence against Alec Bocephus Lewis of Anniston, Alabama. The prosecution has been permitted to slide in to the DMs that make up the Covenant Court.
Man, the scales are very weighted against you right now.
I'm in trouble.
On your own podcast, The Alec Lewis Show, you were talking about Frankie Louvu of the Commanders. You're familiar with him, right?
Frankie Louvu, off-ball linebacker.
Nice player. Frankie Louvu is like Ivan Pace Jr. if you could actually rely on him a bit more. To the charge of character assassination, if that's not character assassination, I don't know what is. What do you mean by that?
Defend yourself, Alec.
That's harsh. Did I actually say that?
Okay, the defense is done. Those here at the Covenant Court, on the allegation and charge of character assassination of either Frankie Louvu or Ivan Pace Jr.
A little bit of both.
Does the court find Alec Bocephus Lewis guilty of all charges. Not guilty of all charges. Are you a jury that's hung? Excuse me, is this a hung jury? Alec Bocephus Lewis, you have been charged and you are going to be deemed guilty of all charges on character assassination, more so of Frankie Louvu than Ivan Pace Jr. The sentencing will come down next week at Buffalo Wild Wings. Meanwhile, there will be a bail established. Prosecutor.
Yes.
Do you have another case?
There's more?
I do have another case.
The case against Alec Bocephus Lewis of Anniston, Alabama is now in session at the Covenant Court of Buffalo Wild Wings Savage. The presiding prosecutor is Eric Nordquist.
Could you imagine, fighting a speeding ticket against this judge?
Can't imagine a lot with this judge here.
There will be no pontificating in the Covenant Court. Both of you shut up, or you're going to be in contempt of court.
Oh, bailiff. Via the podcast, I lost my track. Sorry, Your Honor. Sorry, those of the court.
The Alec Lewis Show, wherever you get your podcast.
You do a mailbag. You're the only guy that's ever done a mailbag via his YouTube podcast show, and so I appreciate that connection with the listeners. And I forget what the name of the listener was, but he asked a question, and you were asked to predict the 2026 starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
Now, in fairness, the judge has to clip. This piece of evidence was provided by an undercover investigator we sent out via the city of Savage, Minnesota.
He's a PI.
And at the Savage Feast, this was a savage beast known as Scott Erie in Richfield, Minnesota.
Yeah.
He presented this evidence to yours truly, who then subsequently went to the prosecution, and the prosecution vetted it out. We had a PI on the case. Let's see where it goes.
So you were asked to predict the 2026 starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Lots of potential names out there. Any route that you could have gone.
Yeah,
But you chose a name. You chose a name. And you were not handcuffed. You were not under duress. You will acknowledge that.
I was like, don't get aggregated.
Sir, Alec Bocephus, stop. It's not your turn.
These are yes or no questions. You said to your podcast viewers and listeners that one Jimmy Garoppolo would be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings in 2026. Jurors, please hold your condemnation until we get to the final
Members
verdict.
of the jury, please stop, or you will be sequestered for the next week until the next feast.
We're going to need some water and wings. The young lady over there has fainted. They have fainted.
Certainly not getting any tickets. The waters or wings would be good.
The people are fainting, even at the suggestion. And this would be in the terms of, now we maybe don't have it, blasphemy laws, blue laws, uttering the words Jimmy and Garoppolo as it pertains to this football team in 2026 must be adjudicated under the strictest of policy and potentially garnering the worst of penalties regarding Jimmy G and the Vikings in 2026. This is your one chance to defend yourself before you are burned at the stake by those here at the Savage B-Dubs.
Stop. Mr. Prosecutor, with all due respect, please do not lay out what the penalties can be that will be established by the Covenant Court.
I apologize for inciting a riot.
Sir, you're going to be in contempt of court if you continue. Please do not refer to any form of penalty that could be burning at a stake. Allow us to lay out what penalties will be, if indeed there are any. So stay in your lane, sir, or you're going to be in contempt of court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, just to get it straight, Mr. Prosecutor, is the allegation, is the charge that Alec Bocephus Lewis of Anniston, Alabama, on a podcast, the Alec Lewis Show podcast, get your podcast wherever you find them, specifically the iHeartRadio audio media app,
whatever it's called,
that Jimmy Garoppolo at age 35 will be, should be, or might be the starting quarterback for the 2026 Minnesota Vikings. Which charge is it?
Yeah, it is 2 counts of felonious blasphemy related to the defendant stating that he will be.
Okay.
This is a prediction.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Stop. So for a charge of pontificating, bloviating, and emotionally losing control, Alec Bocephus Lewis, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, Judge, I thought about bringing up the name Aaron Rodgers, but we know how that could go. In previous iterations of conversations between me and the judge, I think I wanted to go against that. No, look,
Diana Rossini will not be taking the stand today, okay? Let's not bring up things that we can't stand and hold in court.
No, she was prosecuted and they threw away the key. Anyway, continue, Alec Bocephus.
No, listen, I was asked, first of all, Judge, the free agent class of quarterbacks for 2026 is not enjoyable to look at. It's just not. There aren't a ton of options. There's also the trade possibility of your Mac Joneses of the world. I don't know, your Jameis Winstons of the world.
Make a compelling case, defendant.
Jimmy Garoppolo was the long shot prediction without any intel at this point because I haven't been to the Senior Bowl or the Combine or the owners' meetings. But right now, as it stands, really for availability more than anything else, the Vikings are going to need a quarterback that, if thrust into action or if they were to win a competition, is going to need to be relied upon for 2026. And in choosing not to trade draft capital that this team needs to fortify their roster, the free agent route seems more likely. Jimmy Garoppolo has spent 2 years with Sean McVay in the Rams system. He would have an ability to acclimate to this system. He's done it before and succeeded and played in the playoffs. And so that was the prediction. I didn't feel good, like
Mr. Defense.
For the record, Judge.
Yes.
It wasn't a choice that made me feel really enjoyable internally.
Mr. Lewis, does the evidence which is shared per truth, nothing but truth in the name of God, are you sharing that you said or you put out in print or in audio or video for people to see? Jury, listen closely. That 35-year-old Jimmy Garoppolo with the olive-shaped eyes and the nice high cheekbones, somebody who has been to the Super Bowl before, did you or did you not say he will be the starting quarterback for the 2026 Minnesota Vikings?
There were a lot of dynamics at play within.
Did you say he will or he will not?
Did you say it?
I did say it.
He said it. Okay, we're going to the jury.
Going to the jury.
Does the prosecution have anything else to add?
The prosecution rests.
Prosecution rests. Covenant Court, in the case of Alec Bocephus Lewis,
felonious blasphemy
of Anniston, Alabama, in the case of gridiron gospel-related blasphemy, bloviating, and/or emotionally sharing bad takes.
Can I leave my last bit of evidence?
I'm not on
I
trial.
asked the jury, who would they prefer more?
No.
Would it be Mac Jones?
No. We're not.
Your
Would
job
it be
to predict.
Daniel Jones?
That's the gavel. Stop it. In the case of Alec Bocephus Lewis, with the most recent charge against him, that the prediction with which it doesn't sound like he has much equity or belief in, but nevertheless he made it.
At all.
Which would be blaspheming the gridiron gospel of football. Do we find Alec Bocephus Lewis guilty of all charges?
Real quick, Judge, Jaden Daniels is starting the game. Jaden Daniels.
Do we find him not guilty of all charges? Do we find that we can't come up with a decision, thus hung jury?
No, I'm guilty.
Ladies and gentlemen, for claiming the 35-year-old Jimmy Garoppolo, who throws knuckleballs and change-ups, will be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings in 2026, and it won't be J.J. McCarthy. We in the Covenant Court at Buffalo Wild Wings Savage find Alec Bocephus Lewis guilty of all charges.
Woo!
A sentencing will come down next week at Buffalo Wild Wings, wherever.
How good is this audio going to be if Jimmy Garoppolo is there? I mean, that would just be unbelievable.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That's how this show works sometimes, too.
Do you have a case left to con?
No, I am conceding the court.
So who would you prefer, Judge?
We have two short, should be hit or miss in and out cases for Alec Bocephus Lewis that have been presented to the judge and very late in the equation. They both come from @Alec_Lewis via Twitter. @Alec_Lewis via X. Now, the judge has been informed yesterday @Alec_Lewis. The tweet went, Adam Amin, Drew Brees, and Christina Pink are on the call Sunday for Vikings Commanders on Fox. Very good crew. The charge being levied against Alec Bocephus Lewis of Anniston, Alabama, is that of deliberately directing people to the television broadcast and away from the radio broadcast with yours truly,
audio broadcast,
or somebody named Paul Allen, Pete Bursich, and Ben Lieber. Once again, the tweet, Adam Amin, Drew Brees, Christina Pink on the call Sunday, Vikings Commanders on Fox. Very good crew. When it comes to deliberately directing people away from the audio leader, do we find Alec Bocephus Lewis guilty of all charges? Do we find him not guilty? Steve's Appliances has just chimed in, and they're pulling the endorsement for the rest of 2025. Can I get a witness or a raucous round of applause?
As his court-appointed counsel, can we plea down?
It's a great crew.
Can we plea down to a misdemeanor on that one?
Adam Amin, great. Drew Brees.
The plea down will be handled in the Covenant Court at Buffalo Wild Wings next week. And finally, another tweet from @Alec_Lewis, and it was filed yesterday. A tweet @Alec_Lewis. He is accused of savaging the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff, but that case already has been tried, and Alec was found not guilty. But there's an additional charge off said podcast, a story and/or tweet, and here it is. J.J. McCarthy's development required the running game to be something the offense could lean on. It hasn't been. The charge that has been provided to the Covenant Court at the Covenant Court of Buffalo Wild Wings Savage is that of bad grammar. This is a writer. This is a journalist. This supposedly is somebody who knows the English language inside and out. So when the journalist writes to be something the offense could lean on, and it technically should be on which it could lean, does Buffalo Wild Wings find Alec Bocephus Lewis guilty of all grammatical charges? He subsequently will be charged and sentenced to writing the next 10 stories with a pencil and/or on a chalkboard. To the members of the jury, thank you very much for helping us with Covenant Court. We thank the prosecution, Eric Nordquist, and I'm the judge, Paul Allen. This is the Covenant Court of Buffalo Wild Wings Savage, which is now out of session. Back at Buffalo Wild Wings for the Friday football feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Savage. Thank each and every one of you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully with some more hashtag faith-related information off of Minnesota Vikings victory this weekend against the Washington Commanders. That would be sweet. It's not like the Vikings are going to be heading to the postseason, but for yours truly, and Nordo to a certain extent, I would imagine, it beats the alternative. And you heard during the previous segment, Alec attempting to divert attention, pointed out that something he must have seen on social media, that Jaden Daniels, second-year quarterback for Washington by way of LSU, Arizona State before that, will be playing for the Washington Commanders this weekend. What y'all think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to watch him play. Never seen him play in person. Can be an electric talent, but to Nordo's point earlier, coming off the elbow injury, you have to imagine he's going to play it as safe as possible. So making him uncomfortable in the pocket is probably going to be huge. I loved watching him coming out. Like, I thought at LSU, he played in rhythm, he played on time, he was accurate, he had the arm strength. And then to see what he did last year as a rookie was, I mean, it was fascinating in terms of him transforming what that organization has been. So not going to be an easy challenge. It's not the classic for me, like Brian Flores against the young quarterback. You kind of put him in a blender. I view Jaden as sharp enough to be able to handle a lot of that stuff. So, and then they have Debo, they have Terry McLaurin. Their run game is very creative. So Brian Flores' unit is going to have a pretty big challenge this weekend.
Well, I mean, even if he plays poorly and he's a fraud, it's not like he'd be convicted of that in this state. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I did want to get the weird downturn for the Commanders this year. It can't just be, it wasn't like Jaden Daniels' injury. And in some ways, when we watch this team this weekend, and this is dumb, but I just look for parallels to my favorite team, they're a team that's kind of suffering from what I worry that our team will suffer from. That's aging talent and the inability to replace it via the draft.
I'm glad he said that. This is about the oldest football team that I've seen the Vikings play. And, I mean, from Bobby Wagner to, like, Jeremy Reeves was there when O'Connell was there, Tress Way, the punter. They got a bunch of older guys on this team.
No, they do. And even you think about it on the offense, they were trying to solve, like, they get rid of Brian Robinson. He goes to the Niners. But then they bring in, like, Austin Eckler, and they tried to solve it with Krosky Merritt. I think it's Guerrero or Gutierrez, potentially. I completely completely ruined that name there. Rodriguez, excuse me. But they have been just brutally old across the defensive front. I think they got Sam Cosmi back on the offensive line. This is like recently.
Yep.
But when you watch this game this weekend, that's just kind of the first thing that popped in my head is I feel like if we don't figure this out this offseason, in some ways you could talk, this is the ghost of Christmas future in terms of having an aging roster that just isn't replenished via the draft. That'd be worrisome out east, and that's worrisome for me down the road.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of similarities between the two. Like, their left tackle, Laramie Tunzel, is another one of those guys who's been around forever. He's actually played pretty well.
Blocking for Gutierrez
this year. Yeah. I mean, look, there's no question. And it's why, we could talk a lot about a lot of aspects of this Vikings team, but the one that really does matter, and you can only belabor it so much, is if you're not hitting in the draft consistently, you're going to be living in the free agent bargain bin that comes with you're fraught with a lot of older players, guys who have navigated injury. It makes it really, really hard. And so, like last year in the draft with Jaden, with Mike Sainristil, like there were some interesting additions made. And then this year, they just haven't seen a lot of fruits of young labor. The first round pick, Josh Connerly, the right tackle, has had an interesting kind of season. But I still do think this Commanders team in their trenches is pretty solid. Like defensively, they've got Daron Payne, the defensive tackle who can cause problems. They have Von Miller, who is not what Von Miller used to be, but he's an interesting, has like the technique.
Like the NFL's Clippers, like an all-star team from 2018. That's
Bobby
what the
Wagner,
are.
Marshawn Lattimore. Yeah. Like it's Debo. It's a lot of those types of players.
Well, they actually have an offensive lineman named Chris Paul.
They do.
Off your analogy. That's unbelievable. You said that.
Yeah, left guard.
You mentioned this earlier, awesome. And this is the thing that I'm looking at. Again, I want number 9 to have success and feel that tangibly on the field. You can run 400 yards up on this defense one way or another. They don't turn the ball over, the Commanders, in terms of that defense. This is truly the last of the bunch. And, the Giants, when you go out there, that defense, save for Brian Burns and some playmaking, the Giants can be had too.
And the Cowboys.
I want to see is it stupid of me to just say, I want to see 400 yards of offense against this command? And you're going to tell me it's stupid. And I know it's stupid because of the quarterback situation and what we've seen. I'm just saying that this is going to be by far their best chance, I think, for the rest of 2025 in terms of matchups to absolutely exploit it, if they can, with the QB.
No doubt. But, I mean, against the Bears, we said
400 yards in offense.
Against the Bears, we said something similar of like the Bears are turning it over, but they're giving up a lot of yards. So the Cowboys are in another spot where their defense, even though they have Quinnen Williams and they've got Overshown back, like they're going to be gettable. So against the Commanders, against the Cowboys, against the Giants, this is set up, and even the Lions, frankly, this is set up for J.J. McCarthy to have a little runway towards the to the last 5 games of the season to produce. For me, more than anything else, though, he's got to stay healthy. Like, he's got to be smart. If he's evading, if he's scrambling, if he's in the pocket, that is the area of concern for me that is most important in terms of getting through the game healthy, because there have been way too many times where he can't, and that's the starting point before I even get to 400 yards.
FICA, Fairness in Credit Act, giving credit where credit is due. And Alec touched on it earlier, but he didn't mention this parimutuel puzzler that I've had to look at this thing 3 times this week, including twice yesterday. It involves, just put your hands up. If I make a reference to a player and I use a nickname, put your hand up if you know who I'm talking about. Gas mask guy. Gas mask guy. All right. Laramie Tunsil, left tackle for the Washington Commanders. You can Google the gas mask thing on your own. This is a parimutuel puzzler to me. Laramie Tunsil had 19 penalties against him last year. He had 6 against the Minnesota Vikings alone when he played for the Houston Texans. 6 penalties in 1 game against one team. 19 in the season. He has 5 this year. The demise of Laramie Tunsil has been greatly exaggerated, and that Connerly Jr. cat you mentioned, that rookie, well, he has 8. So when you say that, like he's a little up and down, well, he has 8. How about that? Laramie Tunsil from 19 penalties last year, 6 in 1 game to just 5. I would imagine it was a nice trade Washington made with Houston to get gas mask guy.
Yeah, their whole offensive line, again, that's why the first segment of this show, when I'm talking about the trenches, it's because this offensive line for the Commanders is capable. You have Tunsil. Left guard Chris Paul isn't a terrible player. The center, Tyler Biadasz, is a fine player. The right guard, Sam Cosme, is a pretty good player. And then Connerly is athletic at right tackle. So for me, whether it's Jonathan Grenard or Dallas Turner, who feels like he's coming on, or Jalen Redmond on the interior, you need that group to be able to make it hard for Jaden Daniels. And if they don't, then Jaden Daniels is going to pick you apart, and we're not going to have fun Sunday. So, Laramie Tunsil, it's crazy. I don't know how old he is, but he's had a good year.
Alec Lewis from The Athletic, Nordo from 9 to noon, a Vikings fan line, and I'm Paul Allen. We will put a wrap on the show with our final segment from Buffalo Wild Wings. Savage hits the Friday football feast, finishing after this. Buffalo Wild Wings Savage, thank all of you for showing up today. Very kind of you. And we look forward to the Friday football feast next week. But we also look forward to the Vikings and Commanders this weekend, where, just if these are final thoughts, big takes, predictions, or whatever, about the 2 things that I would offer is, in rudimentary fashion, to get to 9, you need 5. All right. If you get to 9 losses this year, that's the most consecutive losses in the history of Minnesota Vikings football. We don't want to be on the wrong side of history. So to get to 9, you got to get to 5. Let's eliminate 5 and get that second home win, and then take care of that from a bad historical standpoint. You eliminate this losing streak. Let the Commanders are beatable. The point spread's been weird this week, where it started Commanders -1.5. Jaden Daniels went limited in practice. It went Vikings -1.5. Now Daniels is playing. I have no idea what it is, but it's been all over the place.
Like an hour ago, it was still 1.5 for the Vikes.
Wow. Okay. So, that's a big
Vikes
flip.
still favored, yeah.
That's a 3-point flip right there. That's a lot. And finally, in the giving season, just be takers. Just be takers in the giving season. You're minus 15 in the take-give. If you go minus 7 the rest of the way, that's the givingest, worst turnover differential in the history of this team. We don't want anything to do with that. So those are my 2 requests. I have no prediction on the game because Vikings football is impossible to predict these days for me. What about you, the Nords?
Well, I don't really have any predictions either, but I was going to ask you, Alec, just kind of final thoughts or big take in terms of if number 9 plays free and he's free balling this Sunday. What do you think that looks like?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if it looks any different.
Sorry, I put that on you because I have no answer for it either. I need it to look better.
Yeah, I mean, I was tempted to almost just say it can't look much worse, but it actually can look worse, which we found out, so I'm not going to say that.
Court's out of session. Say whatever you want.
The Commanders are...
We'll use this next week.
Commanders are back favor by 1.5.
They are.
From what I see now. But no, J.J. McCarthy, look, you just hope he plays with, like, the joy that he's always played with. Like, that's really it. Like, play the game the fun way that you did at Michigan. Be out of the pocket. Be a creator. Don't feel like you got to be perfect on every drop and every throw, and just let guys run and make plays. The game plan, I'm going to be very interested to see. They've talked all week about simplifying things. Does that mean less plays? Does that mean less formations? Does that mean less cans at the line of scrimmage? All of that stuff, you hope, makes everything kind of sing everywhere else to where JJ can just play the game again that he's always played. And I'm just looking for accuracy, decision making, and not taking big hits.
Yeah.
Like, please be careful from a health perspective, both in and out of the pocket. I don't want to see any more injuries the rest of the way for him. That would be the most disconcerting of all.
Yeah, I don't know if fans want to hear, like, man, it'd be cool if JJ was having fun again. A lot of fans would be like,
of course not.
Well, I'm not having very much fun. Maybe nobody should be having fun. How about you win a freaking game and then we can all have some fun together? Ouch. I do think I've heard that kind of popping around, whether it was social media. Ron Johnson's talked to me about that on Fan Line, that in some ways, when the kind of the soul is sucked out of the operation, when things are just bad, and the kid's clearly brain boggled, right? That the essence of not having fun, it kind of plays into potentially some of the overthinking, the gripping, and the mistakes that are taking place. So it sounds super simple, but I do think at a base level there is an element of we got to figure out how to put a smile on.
Yeah.
And while we're doing this, and maybe specifically what you were just hitting on there, I thought early in the season I was kind of questioning, like, is it getting a little busy in the headset pre-snap? And we saw that a year ago with Darnold early on in the season. Like,
I forgot to credit you on that this morning when I read it in depth, and I remember you saying that, and I didn't know what to say because I didn't have an answer for it. I conclusively believe that you were right. That was good. That was prescient of you.
Well, and I just wonder that was what would play into me is I want to see a team that's getting to the line with 20 seconds left instead of 10. I want to see, and that could be part of pulling back where the coach said earlier this year, like, we're challenging him. He's getting a lot of autonomy at the line. Could we simplify that and be part of that process?
My other thing, too, and I've said this on the podcast, and I was, like, kind of kidding, but, like, is it that hard? Can you just get the ball to Justin on the first play? If it's a jet sweep, if it's a little pitch, if it's a quick, I don't care if it's a -4, a -2, just get the ball in his hands from the outset and get him within the flow of the game. I don't think that could hurt anybody, and that's just kind of my view of it. Again, it's really easy as the writer sitting up here without calling plays and looking at the defense and be like, get Justin the ball in the first play. But I do think it's feasible and possible and would be beneficial.
Into this game, specifically with Justin Jefferson, how much, as we wrap it up here, though, the way Justin Jefferson specifically mentally has handled things, that's been a talker this week. You're on top of it?
Yeah, it's been hard for him. It's been frustrating. This is not something that he ever wants to have to navigate. But Justin Jefferson understands the situation, and Justin Jefferson is very cognizant of his role in this team. So people want to make it some big blow up.
Yeah.
Justin's sharp.
Well, you want him traded.
Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth gets the money next week. Ashley and Haley with the street team, thank you very much. Jared Wells, thank you. Devin Ward, thank you. Tip your servers and bartenders exponentially, thank you. For Alec Lewis and Nordo, I'm Paul Allen. Talk to you Sunday at noon for the Boom on KFAN.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.